Welcome to Cryptic Knowledge Radio. This is Mike coming to you from an undisclosed location in Louisiana. Tonight on the show we have Casper Stith. You can go to his website, casperstith.com, and check out some of his books. Check them out. The Kindle versions. They're a couple of dollars. Not bad. You're going to spend more at Starbucks. Some of them, just a few. You have Aliens, Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid. The New World Order, Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid. Satan, Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid. And he has books talking about Nikola Tesla, Ebola. This guy, his creativity in touching other subjects is very vast. And it's kind of interesting to see what's going to be coming out in the future. But on this show, we're going to be talking about the New World Order, Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid, and maybe cover one of his books down the road, a couple of months down the road. Maybe his Aliens book, or maybe the Ebola book. We'll see, because I actually have some pretty cool stories about that, and I've made some videos about that as well. But I'm tired of talking, because I think I sound very boring sometimes. But let's go and get my man Casper Stith on the show. Welcome to Cryptic Knowledge Radio, man. How you doing?
Doing great, Mike. Thanks for having me on the show. Fan of your work as well, and this is a great opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man. So is this your first interview?
Yes, this is a major landmark for me. This is the first interview.
So hopefully that this will be just one small step for Casper, if you get my drift, and maybe you will be on some very bigger shows. You never know, man. Coast to coast, maybe around the corner.
Awesome. Sounds great, Mike.
But let's cover some of these things in your book, The New World Order. But first off, what do you mean, be afraid, be very afraid?
Well, the title is more to get people's attention. I think that we kind of mosey through our lives not really paying much attention, when in reality I think we got something pretty big going on behind the scenes that requires our attention. So I try to put a little shock factor in there to basically get people's attention, try to get people to look in this direction, see what's going on over here.
Yes, and so I guess go ahead and explain a little bit about yourself, and how did you get into researching some of these things that you research?
Yeah, well, I've traveled around a lot in the past, and for one reason or another, I've always kind of been interested in the occult, UFOs. Never was too interested in what the mainstream news was telling us. I always thought there was a little more of a backstory that we weren't hearing about, and the New World Order was always a recurring theme. I mean, this go back 15 years, and I had an interest in this. I would listen to all these different radio shows, reading all these different quotes, and I was just kind of astonished, thinking that, something pretty strange is going on. And as time went on, I just kind of put it in my back pocket, file it away. What can you do with it? So you got all this crazy things going on in the background, it seems, yet no one is talking about it, and there's really no outlet for it. So I just kind of put it in my back pocket and went on with life, and just thought, wow, I guess, no one cares. Mm-hmm. And then relatively recently, I found an avenue to publish some of the information, and I've always kind of had in the back of my head, if I just could have an outlet for this information, I think there's a pretty big story to tell. And really, I try to let a lot of the players themselves tell the story, because there's so many quotes out there of a large corroborated global plan that really kind of tells the story on its own. It's just connecting some obvious dots, and I try to do that in kind of a comprehensive way in these books, to try to paint it as less of a far-out conspiracy and more of something that kind of right in front of our face. You got presidents talking about this New World Order, I mean, the quote's used thousands of times by people in influential positions, and just to brush it off as being complete, conspiracy theory fringe talk is irresponsible in my opinion. So I just wanted to, I always thought, there's so many of these quotes, there's so much information. One day I need to put this down, and then I finally did. And, I just wanted to convey that point.
And you did a wonderful job with putting a lot of these quotes together. Actually, I saw on Amazon I think it was a couple comments that stated that I'm paraphrasing, but because I really don't remember the word for word, but something about you, great book, you put these quotes together so perfectly, something like along them lines. But yeah, man, I haven't read all of your New World Order. I kind of skimmed through it just a little bit, but yeah, man, you did a pretty good job putting a lot of these quotes together, because it's some of these quotes are easy to find, but it's kind of hard to put it into, I guess, a book, if you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah, that was, before I put it out, that was just one of the things that I kept rehashing over and over. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing any elephants in the room, on the quotes, because there are so many. And I just, you can find some here on the internet, some here, on YouTube, but just trying to catalog them all in one place to paint a compelling picture was something that I had never come across. That's not to say that it hasn't been done before, but, in the bite-sized, small chunk culture that we're in, I wanted to put it in something that could be read, in a couple hours or so, too. So I hope I did that. I'm sure there will be more New World Order quotes in the future, but hopefully it alerts some people. I've gotten some feedback to where people really didn't have any idea that there was potentially something like this going on. To those who already, suspected something, but now see it kind of reaffirmed with the information, that's coming out of their own, people behind the scenes now.
You mentioned something about, I forgot what you said. You mentioned something about 15 years ago. Was that kind of the beginning of your research, or looking into some of these topics?
Yeah, I think, that's a rough estimate, but I remember kind of going back to the time frame, like when Red Ice Creations, like before they had subscribers, that's when I was kind of on the internet, just trying to find that information, and, once kind of when I found that, I listened to I was a subscriber there, listened to every episode there was, really anything that I could find, and there's just, the information's out there.
Yes, and Henrik, he does a great job with his program. I had him on the show on the older edition of Cryptic Knowledge Radio, maybe 2010 or 2011, I believe. But that dude's pretty awesome. But the reason why I bring that about, what was your? You said 15, I heard something about 15. I was automatically thinking 9/11, So, was that, one of your, oh shit moments? There's something really else deeper behind the scenes? Was that your rabbit in the Matrix, there's something that's going deeper behind the scenes? What was it that kind of opened your mind to these topics? Was it 9/11 or was it something else?
No, I wouldn't say. I would say when 9/11 came out, I was pretty much already skeptical of the mainline story. I can't really. I mean, maybe it had to do with just coming up through the school system. I was always just. I kind of was just tuned out of high school. It never really jived with me, and I always. It kind of just felt like I was kind of moseying through it because it just felt like such a restrictive and contained system, meant to kind of keep you in your place. So I mean, even from high school, I was never really comfortable with with the way things were supposed to be. So, I mean, I guess it goes back even further, because I'm coming up on 40 now. I can't really pinpoint exactly what it was, but it was more just a culmination of just thinking, like, man, this is just, this is not how it's supposed to be. You know, like, I'd rather be out, you know, so you got me tied up all day, then I got to come home, do homework. For what? I don't give a crap about this information. You know, I mean, because it was just all junk. You know, it's not teaching you how to balance a checkbook, anything practical like that. So that was kind of a trigger to me. It's like, why, you know, why are we wasting all our time on this? I could be doing something practical, but no. I mean, instead, I'm sitting here and not paying attention and getting in trouble because I find it completely useless. You know.
What kind of went through your mind, since I kind of mentioned, I brought up 9/11, what kind of went through your mind when all that took place?
Just kind of, you know, here we go again, you know, like, what the hell's going on? You know, I mean, nothing adds up, you know, it's just one of those things that just.
So when it happened, you already kind of realized, like, this is a bullshit event.
Yeah, I mean, I've been skeptical from the outset. Yeah, and then I read there was an interesting book. I don't know if you read Michael Rupert's Crossing the Rubicon. I feel that's one of the most interesting and well researched books on the subject. But yeah, I mean
I never read that book, but I did watch this documentary.
The Loose Change.
Which one?
Was it Loose Change?
No, you said Michael Rupert.
Yeah, Michael Rupert was. He wrote a book. I mean, he was basically interviewing a lot of people, sending emails to generals in the army and things of that nature.
I forgot that documentary. I'm searching it right now. It's killing me. Collapse. The documentary Collapse.
Oh, I think he might have been profiled in that one. Was that about the oil?
Yeah, it did. Man, it's been a while since I actually watched that documentary. But yeah, it was about the oil.
Yeah, all of a sudden, 15 years later.
But I guess through some of these awesome, I guess, chapters in this book, the New World Order book of yours, some of them you have, You Can't Be Serious. What is the New World Order? The Same Old Song. Is there really an organized conspiracy? You know, you kind of touched really on a lot of some pretty cool stuff in this book. But out of all these chapters that you cover, corporations, foundations, secret societies, global police state, debt slavery, which one of these do you think that's really more of a primal focus, more something that we need to take? Of course, they all are serious topics, no doubt. But which one do you think we need to pay more attention to?
That's a good question because, yeah, like you said, I think they're all kind of interconnected with the same end goal in mind. I'll say one of the most fascinating one is the foundations, you know, the not-for-profit, which were investigated by the Reese Committee, or Reese Commission, and found to be incorporating communist propaganda, basically, into their, you know, as their goal. And that, I just find that to be troubling, but a pretty good indicator of how things work. I also find it's basically everything, because you have that. I mean, really, kind of my whole basis for this book and everything is that we don't have to be living like this, you know, and that's, and there's plenty of people who know that, you know, I profiled Nikola Tesla. He was building a free energy producer in Wardenclyffe for the world. And the only thing that stopped it was the funding. And he was known for not making any mistakes, and things work. So there's nothing saying that wouldn't have worked, but J.P. Morgan, who was funding the venture, decided to stop funding it. So I think there's, I don't think that we need to be rats in a cage, essentially, the way we are. And that's kind of my basis, is that you have this whole control structure basically permeating every aspect of our lives that is there solely for that reason, when we could be, what if, and I know, it sounds far-fetched and what have you, but if money wasn't a factor, the world would be a much different place. If we weren't scrounging for every dime we could get and scurrying here and doing this, and just crisscross with all this stuff that has to be done, which I think is essentially a farce. That's not to say quit your job and work, and live off the land because you can't do it, then you're a bum. But I think, the whole system is designed from stopping humanity from living, how we're supposed to. That's kind of where I'm coming from, just this whole unnatural system that covers everything.
And one of your other ones is the global police state, and a TV show pops up in my mind, Person of Interest. Because they use this massive computer. Have you heard of Person of Interest, by the way?
No, I have not.
But it's a pretty cool TV show. But they use this huge computer that's on steroids that it pretty much it predicts future crime, almost kind of like Minority Report, I believe.
Yep.
And so the guy that he played in Frequency. The guy that played in Frequency and When the Game Stands Tall, whatever. But I forgot that guy's name. But he's in this TV show, and he fights. He tries to stop these murders and things happening in the future, and this computer. But anyways, what I'm getting at is that's the type of society that we're going towards. This type of thought. Hell, they're trying to get inside of our heads, like with thought crime. George Orwell had it correct in his 1984 book. But I guess what I'm trying to get at here with your chapter, Global Police State, is, do you think it's getting worse day by day, or do you think that some of the freedom fighters, the truthers out there, the alternative side, do you think that we're combating this global police state a little better, or do you think we just really have no hope and it's going to keep getting worse?
Good question. I definitely don't think we don't have hope, because I think you hold out hope, to the end, we're going to win. It's the bottom line. But I don't think that, I don't think anything's moving in the right direction, in any aspect. I look at not just, so you have the physical police state, but you also have, and in the book I have a chapter, or just a little thought experiment about Facebook. What if Facebook became compulsory? Everyone has to sign up, or you have to house your data. That can turn, that's kind of an infrastructure for, a total information society. What if you had to have your medical records uploaded to Facebook? You get pulled over, the cop runs your Facebook profile. If that, that's the kind of thing, all these technological advances, I don't think are for our benefit at all. And then, I think the ultimate goal is our detriment. And that's what I think that, it's kind of moving towards. So, yeah, there are small wins here and there, but it doesn't seem like we're stopping the push, the machine moving towards this, where you can't hide type of society, where everything's out there, every record, where people don't care about privacy, people don't care about, having anything to themselves. I know most people I know are already like that, well, I don't have anything to hide, so what's the problem? Who cares? So they'll put personal information wherever, so it's part of a conditioning process too, to just, put it all out there. So, basically your profile is no longer in your head. Your profile is on a computer that anywhere, anybody, any of the authorities could access anywhere, for your benefit, of course, because that's how it's sold, but that's not a type of system that really benefits people, in our natural state and our desire for freedom, and not.
And you said it right. And it's really about keeping our sovereignty, and you're talking about Facebook. That's just another method with this surveillance grid, just like with your chapter, Global Police State. The police state, it kind of all intermingles with each other, with the surveillance grid, with Facebook, with different technologies. It all pretty much is one tentacle of the octopus, And speaking of Facebook, Casper, I got banned off Facebook, or I don't know if I got banned, but they kicked me out of Facebook last week or a few days ago, and I don't know why exactly, but here, I took some screenshots, and while you was talking a while ago, I kind of pulled them up that I took, and one says, to make sure this is your account, we need you to upload a color photo of your government-issued ID. Your ID should include your name, birthday, and photo. Acceptable IDs include your passport, driver's license, state-issued ID card, military ID card, immigration ID with signature. Please keep in mind that we can't accept your profile picture. Once we receive and review a clear image of your ID, we will permanently delete your attached identification document from our servers. And that was one screenshot. And then I went on to something else. I was just trying to see how far I can get without actually uploading my photos and stuff. And one says, if you don't have a government-issued photo ID, you can upload 2 alternate forms of ID. We accept company or school ID, library or gym membership card, birthday certificate, social security card. Come on now. Bank statement. A bank statement, utility bill. And I'm not shitting you fellas. I'm going to make a little small video of this right here, and I can show you these things that I just told you about. And the reason I'm not going to try to prove my identity, because I'm not going to upload my passport, my driver's license, or any form of ID. So I guess I'm just going to kind of create another Facebook account. What do you think about all that crap, man?
I'd say it sounds about right. Facebook started as just something that, fun and games, just nothing personal, just upload whatever you want, have fun. To now, it's turned that's essentially a government institute. If they're requesting a passport, you have to have a certain authority to even request that type of stuff. So that right there tells you that, and I've seen what, you're well within the bounds of freedom of speech. You're not purporting anything that, isn't based in fact. You ask a lot more questions. You're just asking questions. So it doesn't surprise me at all. But
really, I'm not sure what happened. I'm sure I got reported. I don't know if it's because of the name I used. My Facebook name was Mike Truther, which my name is Mike Blocker. But I don't know if it's because I had the Mike Truther, because it's not Truther isn't or it could be something I posted. I don't know. Or somebody like this conspiracy tinfoil hat guy. This guy needs to be reported, so they reported me on probably something I posted. Really, I don't know, because it kind of angers me, because Facebook is one method that I kind of reached out to a lot of the audience. And a lot of this technology, such as Facebook and YouTube and Google, Twitter, a lot of this, Google Plus, a lot of this has a lot of good, But the thing is, with technology, when it gets in the hands of I don't know, someone that has something up their sleeve, or some type of, Orwellian nightmare agenda, it can be dangerous for our future. I guess to kind of move forward, Casper, how do we move forward as a society with technology without the technology getting in the wrong hands?
Yeah, I mean, that's the $1 million question. I mean, if well, it's hard to have a good plan if people are happy to put everything of, any importance to them out there for the world to see. Because, I always, and a lot of people who, older people just find it completely outlandish that so many people put everything about themselves up there freely, because you're just kind of putting it out there to the void. Anybody can see it. Everybody can see it. So it's just kind of, one of those things. So if people really understand what they're doing, I mean, I think the answer to all this is just knowing. If people know that life doesn't have to be like this,
People don't want to know, though. I think people are afraid to face the truth.
Right, and that's the hardest part about it, and that's why it seems like such an uphill battle, because really it seems like 99% of people really don't care, or those who do care are just focused on it. It's the left, it's the right, it's the focusing on things that are just divisive, not looking at that we're all basically on the Titanic, and it doesn't matter whose side everybody wants to pick a side on just about everything, when really, we're all just people, and we want the best life possible. If we could just focus on that aspect, we want to be able to determine our own futures. But that's kind of been, taught out of us. You're brought up to think that you need, from the day you're born, you're taught, grow up, get a job, do this, basically find your way into the system, and everything will work itself out. And Facebook and social media, that is the system now. So basically, if you aren't doing that, you're outcasted. It requires people to think for themselves and not be, not just fall into the traps as I see them, getting you to put all your information out there, just getting, your online profile. Everybody in the world had an online profile that was on them at all times and could be accessed. Well, that would be the perfect tool for a ruling class, to govern over a society as seamlessly as possible.
And to try to gather as much information about us as they possibly can,
Right, which most people are volunteering because, hey, I didn't do anything, I've got nothing to hide. So that attitude kind of, has most people pushing all their information out there.
I think a lot of it is the fear of ridicule, the fear of what someone else thinks. You believe 9/11 was a conspiracy? You believe it was a cover-up, an inside job? Man, if I say anything about that, my friends and family may think I'm a weirdo. They may think I'm a nut job. I've lost it. And I think that's really what's kind of the fear of what other people think. I think that's really what's hindering a lot of people from having an open mind and trying to look past a lot of this bullshit reality that we live in, you know?
I couldn't agree with you more, Mike. I mean, you wouldn't. Well, you know, but I mean, how, you know, I've been called, you name it, you know, conspiracy theorist. That's like a bad word, you know. If you're a conspiracy theorist, you're not, you know, it doesn't mean that maybe you don't accept everything at face value. No, it means that you just believe all these far out, inane things that have no basis in reality. So, you know, that's part of the puzzle too. You know, conspiracies have been relegated to the fringe when in reality their conspiracies are going on constantly around us. You know, it's and fear. And you couldn't be more correct about the fear of speaking out. You know, I mean, you know, me, I have all these books out there, yet depending on the social situation, I would never bring this up. You know, who wants? I've been picked on enough to where, you know, it's not worth fighting the battle when you're the only one. You know, I mean, it's no fun being the only one. You know, and having people trash you, but you know, there's something to be said for the truth. You know, so it doesn't matter. You got to move forward. I mean, this is what's going on, and I'm not going to stop because most people around me think it's stupid or think that I'm just, you know, totally out there. I mean, the show must go on, you know, and that's what we're doing, as hard as it may be sometimes.
And I'm kind of skimming through some of this in your little book, and one thing that popped up is what we're actually talking about is cognitive dissonance. That's what's really going on, because people, as this quote, sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. And I can't really pronounce that name. Friedrich Nietzsche.
Yep.
And that's an awesome quote, man. Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. They don't want their matrix, their stake. You know, they are perfectly happy being on outside of the rabbit hole. You know, and that's a perfect quote that you found for that.
Right. Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier to just come home, drink a beer, and flip on the game and think that that's all that matters, than to actually really take a vested interest in things that you feel are going on in the world. You know, I mean, the most, you know, what it seems to me is most people just get involved, you know, in elections. So now everybody is big on politics because there's an election coming up, you know, and then that passes, and then, you know, it's just such a predictable thing, and it doesn't seem like there's much interest except when, you know, it's on CNN or CNN.com. You know, there's an election coming up, so I better care about it, as opposed to, you know, the election, you know, I mean, yeah, it matters, but I mean, let's look at the big picture, and this is going on all the time. It is a lot easier just to kick back and watch the game. You know, it's more of an escape, and it's acceptable. You know, I mean, that's what the cool people are doing. The cool people are talking about the game, you know, and you know, how many home runs or touchdowns there are. They're not talking about this stuff, you know. So it's somewhat of an isolating venture to focus on this information, for sure.
So, I guess, kind of getting to the meat and potatoes of it, who do you think? I know I might be asking you to speculate some, and that's cool. But why is a lot of this bullshit going on in our reality? And you know, for one, the police state. That's just one. And who do you think is pulling the strings? Like, is it some kind of secret society? Is it the Illuminati? Is it just a bunch of people in suits in DC? Is Is it the global rich, the billionaires, or what is it? What is your best theory, or what do you think? Who is making the calls on how the direction the world is going, the direction we are going as a society?
That's a good question. I mean, that's the $1,000,000 question. If I had to speculate what it is, I mean, I think it's more like best described as a cult or a group that's quasi-religious in nature that is, because the people behind this are working tirelessly. They don't retire. They are pushing forth this agenda. So, and then it involves, your secret societies, your corporations, all that. When you get to the higher echelons of any institution, you'll seem to find the same thread. And, behind it all, I don't necessarily like to say religious, because it's not religious in the sense of we think of religion, but that's the type of passion and vigor that these individuals seem to have behind it. And, is there a greater force of some good? I certainly think there are certain powers that they use, whether they're supernatural or not. I don't really want to speculate, but I mean, I think there are greater powers of the universe. Like in the Satan book, that's basically Satan-Saturn connection. Historically, that seems to be very closely linked together, and the planet Saturn seems to exert a tremendous influence over the planet Earth. So one could argue that it is the manipulation of Saturn-like powers. As far out as that seems, but I think there are bigger things at play than just a few people getting together. Like, let's use our power to subdue humanity. We're going to be that certainly could be it, but the passion and the continuity that these groups display, this New World Order. I mean, if we started something, a bunch of friends, that it would die out in a couple months or a year. But there's a backbone in this that is very powerful, very centralized, and organized. That really points to something powerful at play. Can't really pinpoint it, but I'm interested in Joseph Farrell's work. Have you heard of him at all, Dr. Joseph Farrell?
Yeah, I had him on probably 2010, I believe.
Oh, really? Man, you do it all. I love it. But he, in some of his more recent interviews, he seems to be pointing at this as a ancient warring families of the solar system, potentially centralized here on Earth. But, he makes the claim of the Versailles template, the World War II Versailles Treaty. Mm-hmm. I find it very intriguing that, with the potential that you have large-scale weaponry used in our ancient past and things of this, because I think there's a lot more in the past that we're not really privy to, but it very easily could be, a war that's been going on for hundreds, thousands, who knows how many years, where it's just an ongoing thing, and we're kind of pawns in that game. It's really hard to speculate, but I definitely think it's more than just something that was loosely crafted and designed for a few people to get over on the rest of us.
And I totally agree. There's there's a lot of factions at play here. And that you have your pawns in the game. You have your bishops. You have your knights. But the thing is trying to get through some of that, and trying to find out who's the queen, who's the king, and that's kind of what keeps this, this kind of stuff kind of cool and interesting, because trying to get down to the nitty gritty and the meat potatoes and seeing what's the reason for all of this, but one reason, I guess, kind of going back to what we was talking about a while ago, with the cognitive dissonance, and really just with all of this in general, is mind control, is indoctrination. A lot of this is indoctrination, and kids being indoctrinated in schools, religious institutions. I was one of them. Brought up, living in the Bible Belt, and that is just another method of control. I'm not saying I'm very, very spiritual, but a lot of the religion kind of can be used as a tool, as a control method, and it's just another piece in the game, in the chess game, in this global chess game, and it's all about mind control. And Jim Keith, have you heard of Jim Keith?
I don't think so.
He wrote a book, Mass Control: Engineering the Human Consciousness. And that's what it kind of boils down to, is engineering the human consciousness, and which is mind control. And that's why we're in the shithole that we're in, and because we are, in his chapter 5, injecting ideology. And he states, we are only being told what they want us to know. Probably the most effective method of control ever discovered is simple information management. This technique consists of withholding information, disseminating lies, disinformation, or providing misdirection so that we cannot fully comprehend the reality that we deal with and the forces that shape our lives. These deceptive views are projected to the populace through various communications, media, but primarily by television, radio, motion pictures, newspapers, magazines, and the internet. And he is so accurate with that account, because just like we were talking about, Casper, there are so many factions at play here, and that's kind of why you have people like us, the truthers. We want to learn as much as we can. Then you have the mind control zombies that are showing cognitive dissonance, are too afraid to wake up, and don't want to question the norm, go against the grain,
Yeah, I agree. That's an excellent quote. And people talk about we're being brainwashed and this and that. Well, you could easily argue we've been heavily programmed and brainwashed for quite a long time to accept, this reality that we're living in. Rarely how many people lift up their head and look around and like, holy, it's all just a scam for the most part, but few of us, take the time or even care to consider that. And that's the hardest part of it, because we're just, this is no way to be living, we like to think about how great we have it, but who's to say, 100 years ago, Indians living off the land, you can't even do that now. That would be a lifestyle, you gather what you need, you have your family unit, and you're arguably living life to the fullest. Where now we're scurrying here, scurrying there, separated from everybody and everything to try to make a few bucks so we can, have our house that we can come and crash at after we're so tired from a hard day, and wake up after a few hours, go back there. It's just it's a terrible way to live, and very few aren't caught in that web And the shame of it is we all should be out of that web. There's absolutely no reason for anybody to be living like this, but very few people even think that there's a potential for any other way. Very few people, you say that you shouldn't be, we don't need to live like this, and people will tell you you're crazy when it's well documented, so I agree. The conditioning is very heavy, and it's a damn shame.
It is. And he also stated we are governed, our minds are molded, our taste formed, our ideas suggested largely by men we have never heard of. He's actually quoting someone on this. Whatever attitude one chooses to take toward this condition, it remains in fact that in almost every act of our daily lives, which is what you're talking about, Casper, whether in the sphere of politics or business, our social conduct or our ethical thinking, we are dominated by a relatively small number of persons, a trifling fraction of our 120 million who understand the mental process and social patterns of the masses. And if I highly suggest anybody listen to this, check out that book, Mass Control, Engineering Human Consciousness. But what, I guess, going back to your book, The New World Order, Casper, kind of, I guess, take a little different path on this conversation. What do you think that, I guess, debt, because you talk about debt slavery, do you think that's one reason that is keeping people in bondage and keeping people tied down? And just like you stated a while ago, people coming home from a long, hard day's work and just not looking into this stuff, because they have to make a paycheck. They have to make ends meet, Like, is that because this manufactured debt society is destroying mankind? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think the whole debt slavery piece is one of the biggest aspects of it. I mean, if that's what Leo Tolstoy, one of the quotes from the book, a Russian writer, money is a new form of slavery and distinguishable from the old simply by the fact that it is impersonal, that there is no human relation between master and slave. I think money in itself is an alchemical. I actually have a little write-up on that in the Satan book, but it's an alchemical process, basically a control process. That's all anybody cares about. That's all we do, that's what most conversations throughout the day are, that's in the backdrop. Money, money, money. We care about the car we drive. We care about that's the part of the biggest conditioning of all, that money really means anything. Not only anything, it's everything. If you have money, it's kind of in the back of everybody's head. If I could just win the lottery, or if I, had $1 million, everything would be great, So, and money is, it's the carrot, it's dangled in front of us that, you'll never have enough of, that you always need more of, that's always just a little out of reach, you can do it. So, yeah, I mean, I'd say that is the key control tenet, is the requirement, the debt slavery. I mean, it's what makes the world go round,
Yes, that's exactly right. And that's just another piece in this New World Order chess match, in this chess game, which is debt slavery, which you mentioned in your book. And with the New World Order, do you think we're already in the New World Order, or do you think we're incrementally, day by day, year by year, getting closer to that New World Order that that they dream for, society to be in.
Yeah, I think that we've been in, whether it's not necessarily a something tangible, but I think that the system, the New World Order system, has been upon us for quite some time. I think it's still moving towards some end goals, whether those be, the one world currency, you got depopulation possibility, you got all these things that potentially tie into the end goals of it, but I think that the whole New World Order, modus operandi has been upon us for many. You had writers in the 20s and 30s. Aldous Huxley, Brave New World. He was in the, basically in the club, the British aristocracy. It's been going on a long time. They've been, and these are your most rich and influential people. So I think it's reasonable, and really when you look at it as a lot of it is conditioning, or it's your mental state. When you look at it from that aspect, it's been going on, for 100 years easily. If not longer. So I think we're well in the midst of it. Don't like where it's going, because it's one of those things too. It's never going to be enough. It's going to keep pushing till you're not even a person. You're a robot person. It kind of seems like where we're, the whole transhumanist agenda is kind of where we're going. That seems to be sort of the end goal. Humans that don't really have the capacity for individual thought. Arguably it's spreading humanity out of humans, which, when you look across the board, it seems to be pretty prevalent. There's not too many people talking about this like we are right now.
And no, there isn't. And you mentioned in your book, the secret societies and stuff, and a new world religion. I've heard that one of the many secrets within Freemasonry is to destroy to destroy all religions, and to kind of groom this New World Order with this one world religion. What do you think about that? You kind of cover a New World religion. I guess kind of elaborate a little more on that, and what do you think about, does the secret societies or Freemasonry have anything to do with that? Because you hear many authors and researchers mention it, with their work.
Yeah, I think that, you have the officially recognized religion of the UN, United Nations, which is Baha'i, which believes basically in all religions. They have incorporated Jesus, Moses, Muhammad, Buddha, among others, into their teaching. And one of the founder of Baha'i had, let me read a little quote from him. So just mind you that this is essentially the official religion of the United Nations. The world's equilibrium has been upset through the vibrating influence of this this New World Order. Mankind's ordered life has been revolutionized through the agency of this wondrous system, the life of which mortal eyes has never witnessed. This is in the late 1800s by a guy named Baha'u'llah, the founder of the Baha'i religion. So basically you're taking a religion that is basically all religion. So no matter what religion you are, now you're Baha'i, because we incorporate all religion. So it's just the amalgamation of all religions into one. Because it seems that while the individual religions have been somewhat utilized through time, now that it seems that there's no longer the need for that. It's time to bring it all together under one umbrella. That's essentially what the New World Order is, bringing every aspect of everything under one umbrella. So, everything's hierarchical and top down and in one place, because that's convenient for those who want it like that.
And this is about going to wrap it up for this time, Casper. But on closing thoughts, you talk. I think it's the last part of your book. Where do we go from here? I guess to kind of close it out, this interview, Casper, I guess kind of explain a little bit about what you talk about in where do we go from here, and I guess, is there hope for mankind? I guess pretty much, is there hope for us in this new global New World Order chess game? And what do we need to do to get out of this bullshit reality that we live in?
Yeah. Well, no matter what, I'm always of the mind that we're going to win. I mean, I think you have to be. If you're defeated, if you say that we're trapped, then you are trapped. And I firmly believe that. I mean, it could come down to individual choices. I mean, I think there is more to it than the plane we're on, and that what we're doing in this life in these times do have a greater impact, on things. So I mean, it seems as though it's a test in some ways. So regardless, I think part of being humanity or being human is always being optimistic and knowing that we will prevail. So yes, it seems extremely dark and extremely hopeless a lot of times, but then you see, positive things happen. So I'll always come away planning to win and confident that we will, no matter what. Period. I mean, and then when you have, I don't know if you've seen a YouTube documentary called Billions and Change. I think it's the founder of the 5 Hour Energy drink. Basically, I mean, so this guy, like Nikola Tesla, had a free energy system, potentially for the world. Well, this guy also has a different mechanism for it, but has that, the potential for that. Clean water. Water should not be an issue. Clean water, half the medical beds in the world are due to waterborne illnesses, and it's a joke. I mean, he has a working model, and there's others. You can put anything in one side, out the other side comes clean water. It's been presented to the UN. They know that it works. It's not energy intensive. It's completely practical, and it's an absolute joke that it isn't adopted. California's water problems would be over in short order, but it really shows you what we're up against. So basically we have the tools to win. So if Donald Trump or if Barack Obama came out and said, "Hey, we're going to start mass producing these water devices called the Rainmaker," they've got a model. I mean, it could have California cleaned up. Throughout the world, we've got how much of the world? 75% of the world is water, and we can't use any salt water. Well, it's a joke, and it's easily solvable without a big waste of energy. So we have the solution. So that's why I am quite optimistic, because if Barack Obama came out tomorrow and said, "Hey, we've got the Rainmaker. We're going to take this. We're making this happen." The world would start to change. So really, it doesn't take much. If you had your celebrities pushing it, it wouldn't be that difficult. So I don't think we are that far from some major breakthroughs in our favor. We just got to keep chipping away and making it happen.
Well said, Casper. And where can people go to purchase some of your books?
Anything can be purchased through the website. I have links to everything there. CasperStith.com. I try to keep it updated with the blog relatively regularly. Would like to do it more. I do it about once or twice a week. And or on Amazon.com. Casper Stith. Trying to get more material out there as quick as I can. It's just, takes some time. But
is there something new in the works?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a few things going, nothing really close. I am trying to focus more on the positives, on the to-dos to make things better. Because I think that I've hit a lot of these main, the negatives in the New World Order, Satan, and Aliens book, and I want to put some information out there to try to get to help turn the ship around. So that's kind of the direction I'm moving right now.
Well, I appreciate you very much, Casper, for coming on the show, and I'm going to have to definitely get you to come back on to discuss a couple of your other books as well, and some fascinating work, man. Some awesome. You have like just this one, with Nikola Tesla, The Day Free Energy Died, Nikola Tesla's Nightmare Suppressed History, and then you have Satan, Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid, The Devil Made Me Do It, Illuminati Secrets Book 2, and the New World Order is the Illuminati Secrets Book 1, which we covered tonight, and maybe on next time we'll either cover your Nikola Tesla book or the Aliens, Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid, Aliens, UFOs, and How We've Been Had. Awesome title. But thank you very much for coming on this show, Casper, and I appreciate it, man.
Hey, I really appreciate it, Mike. Really honor your work, and thanks so much for everything. It's really a pleasure.
The pleasure is mine, and stay right there, Casper. Thank you for listening to Cryptic Knowledge Radio. Go to his website, CasperStith.com. Check out some of his work. He has some pretty cool stuff. The Aliens book, the New World Order, which we discussed, the Satan, Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid, The Devil Made Me Do It, Illuminati Secrets Book 2, the New World Order that we discussed tonight was Book 1. You have several other ones, the Ebola book, and just check him out. Support his work, support his research. He's pretty cool dude, and maybe this interview will get him going on bigger and better things, and it'll be kind of interesting to see where he goes, because he's very knowledgeable with this stuff, and you would think he's been doing this stuff for a while, these interviews, but and until next time, just stay tuned. I got more great guests coming your way. Subscribe to Cryptic Knowledge TV, my YouTube channel. You can also go to my other YouTube channel, Truth Perception Media, and subscribe there. But until next time, you keep truthing and have a good one. And I pushed